Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are doing a special Q&A session from our Ask Me Anything forum. And if you want to know if your question got answered, stay tuned. All right guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Serena.
And I'm James.
And we are Life After Union, two twin flames in union. We make these weekly videos to help you through your spiritual awakening, through your twin flame journey, and through your conscious relationships. So today we have two very good questions for you guys that we're going to be answering. So if you guys don't already know, we are taking your questions in exchange for being able to share it on this platform. So our intention with this is to be able to reach more people, to be able to use your questions as a way of helping others, because as we all know, like, we all go through the same thing. So in order for us to reach more people, help more people, we want you to tell us what you are struggling with so that we can answer those questions, so we can actually provide you with valuable feedback. So if you are one of the brave ones who has answered the call and written down your question, thank you very much. It's providing us with incredible content and new videos every week for you guys. So thank you very much for doing that. And if you've not done it yet, definitely consider when you hit that stage in your journey where you just don't know up from down or left from right and you need a little bit of perspective or guidance, definitely hit us up. Send us your question. We'd love to know what's going on for you. So with that being said, we have two great questions for this week. Do you have anything to say before we dive into the questions?
I really enjoy the question factor because it makes us analyze things from a different point of view, because the way that you ask the question means that we'll think about that question differently. So sometimes, even though we might get multiples of the same question, it actually helps us break it down a lot more. So it really helps us on our journey, as it helps us with helping other people in their journey, and gives us a better understanding of the entirety of everything that we obviously are part of.
Yeah, I like the way that you said analyzing, because that's a lot what we do in the Twin Flame Path to Awakening. Is in our group sessions, this is a lot what we do. Is we have specific Q&A sessions where people will come and be like, look, this is literally what I'm struggling with right now, and it helps us analyze, because we're literally breaking down your personal scenario. There's a lot of blanket statements on the Twin Flame journey of, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you should do this, and it's like, but what's the intention? What's the limiting belief behind there? Like, those answers for each individual is going to be so different based on what their limiting beliefs are, what their programs are, what their fears are, what they're trying to accomplish, what their intentions, what their hopes, their dreams are. That's not going to be the same for everybody. So I think what we really strive to do is to, as you said, analyze and see, okay, what is actually your greatest action? Because not everyone's greatest action is going to be done the same. And we actually saw this in our Twin Flame Path to Awakening, where the girls were talking about, okay, I'm clearly in separation or no contact. Do I go towards another relationship, another opportunity? And for one of the girls, like, that was completely yes, it was completely in alignment with what she needed to do. For the other one, she was like, no, I'd be sabotaging myself and what I really want. And so we had to really break it down for those two people, because they had completely opposing actions, but it came down to the same intention at the end of the day, and it was just expressed in two different ways. So I think you're right. This is why it's so important to have your questions and to have them answered on a personal basis, because it can be different for everybody. So yeah. But with that being said,
Back to the questions.
as the camera just fell over there, well, we'll just leave it like that. Sorry that we're a little crooked today. So let's dive into this question. So this first question is from Michael, and Michael says, did you have to reach the void to get over all the limiting beliefs? I can't seem to meditate without guided meditation, but I've never really reached that void people keep mentioning. I feel relaxed and more connected with Hertz frequency meditation.
First off, for me personally, I don't believe you have to get to the void in order to get past your limited beliefs. I feel that it's a tool that you can use to help you on that journey to get to that point, but it's not essential in order to, you don't have to use the void to break that. There are other ways to go around that than just through one. It's obviously a very popular one as well, because a lot of people will talk about them, they'll use that to help them think of limited beliefs and any other scenarios as well, but they aren't tied together. That you don't have to have the one in order to be able to work with the other one. So I think that is for me at least, that's the way I see it. And as well, a lot of times when we're searching so hard for, like, for instance, the void, you're trying so hard to get to the void that you kind of always just knocking at the door, where if you kind of release the idea of, like, this is what I want to achieve, and you're just like, I'm just going to go into this and allow myself just to kind of be where I am, see where it goes, just dive deep into myself, you'll find more often than you might actually have a better connection getting to there than if you're trying to chase after it and force it. But I don't believe that you need to get to the void if you want to, as in your case with the limiting beliefs, to be able to get past that.
I agree with you. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I think, like you said, it helps a lot of people. And ultimately, let's break down. And you asked this question before we even started filming. You're like, well, what do they mean by the void? And it's true. Like, what do you mean by the void? For us, you know, like we think of it as the void, the place beyond thought, right? It pure presence. You know, so you might be somebody who maybe meditation isn't your access point to the void. Maybe you are somebody that goes surfing and accesses the void. Maybe you're somebody that writes, or you're somebody that creates art and accesses the void, right? So I think accessing that void, or accessing, you know, like your zone of genius or your pure presence, isn't necessarily tied to meditating. For a lot of people it is, of course, because we're quieting our mind. But you can do any number of activities that might quiet your mind. So I agree with you. I don't think forcing it is the way to go. And I also agree, I don't think you need to access your limiting beliefs through the void. You can access your limiting beliefs through a number of places, right? And, you know, if you think about it from a subconscious level, the reason why people will access their limiting beliefs through the void is because that's when you're kind of accessing that brain wave that's giving you access to your subconscious mind. So if you think about it from that perspective, yes, it makes sense. But also repetition. If you repeat many times, there's been so many studies done that say you need repetition in order to change the limiting beliefs or the programs of the mind, right? So if you just keep repeating, you're going to change those limiting beliefs whether you access the void or not. The other thing that's been proven to do incredibly for repatterning and reprogramming is gamifying things. So if you make things into a game, you make things into fun, you are looking for your signs and synchronicities, you're playing with the universe in that way for whatever you're trying to repattern. I think there's a statistic out there, like it takes like 20 times or like 20% less, or somebody fact checked me on this and put it in the comments, please. But it takes a significant amount of less repetition if you gamify it and you turn it into a game. So it's really, really good for the subconscious mind to do that.
I've never actually thought of that way, because a lot of times in my head, consciously, what I'll do when I go to stairs is I'll count how many stairs. So I have the even same amount of stairs on my left as my right, and try to make sure that there's no like. And I suppose when that happens as well, you do go into a different place, which I've never actually even thought of it that way. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, Michael.
Yeah. So when you do that and you gamify things, or you turn it into like, you know, just something, you know, you're playing a game with the universe. It actually, you're accessing a cheat code that's not like normally available to us. Yeah, and I'm sure also the hertz you had mentioned in your question, the hertz frequencies, I'm sure those are also like, if you guys have heard of biohacking, you know, like that can be an aspect of biohacking, because you're going straight to the source, right, of whatever that frequency is. So maybe you want to let go of attachment, and so you look for letting go frequencies or surrender frequencies, or you want to access that state of unconditional love, so you look for unconditional love frequencies. And essentially, you know, listening to things like that, like binaural beats, you are going straight to the source of that frequency. And again, that's just one doorway of accessing the void, right? For some people, I know like people that have ADHD and have neurodivergent brains, there's those special beats where you hear one in this ear and one in this ear, which is essentially what binaural beats are doing. And because you have, and you can do this in meditation too. This is a type of meditation I actually practice where I sit and I listen out of both ears. And if you sit and you actually listen out of both ears, you cannot think at the same time. It is not possible. So binaural beats work for that very same reason. It puts you beyond thought, because it's physically, like biologically not possible when you're listening out of both ears. It's only when you like start to subconsciously favor one or the other that you start to think again. So I don't know. I think it's just very interesting to explore that concept.
Yeah, and I mean, as well, I think with a lot of meditation, a lot of things you'll see online will be like, you must quiet your mind, your mind must be empty, you must have no thoughts, which for a lot of people, I mean, me as well, is very difficult. When I meditate, my head is going all kinds of crazy. But within that craziness, there's actually a sense of peace, which is essentially why I'm doing the meditation. So for some people, like I know for you're able to quieten your mind down a lot more and getting to like a more of a focused state. But for me, in order to get that, my mind goes a little bit, but haywire and crazy, because I'll be thinking of different things. My brain will bounce between those jumps. I'm actually getting a lot of clarity from other things that are coming in between it. So you really just have to personalize it to yourself and understand that where you are, no matter whether you're able to silence your brain or not, that you're doing your process to the best of your ability. And if you keep going with that, eventually you'll get to a place where it actually feels natural and comfortable and easy. And that's the point where you can really start to essentially reach the void in that, because you're no longer thinking about why you're thinking, you're just thinking. There's no force. You're not forcing anything into it. You're just allowing your brain and your head and your mind just to be where it is and being at peace with it, I guess you could say. You're not fighting against it because you're thinking about something. You think about something like, let me just keep thinking about that until my brain goes somewhere else or goes quiet or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think what you're mentioning is becoming the observer of the thoughts. So it's not that you're actively trying to quiet the thoughts, it's that you're becoming aware that you're thinking them, right? Whereas somebody that maybe doesn't practice meditation is really attached to every thought they think, right? They're pulled around a lot because they're like, oh, I'm thinking this, and then I'm angry here, and then I'm this, and then I'm there. And it's like,
Well, that's what
you
the
can
practice
still,
comes in.
right, well,
Yeah.
you can still have that, but you can also have that and you're just watching it. You become the
Yeah.
observer. So you kind of put yourself into a wider perspective because you see all of that going on within your mind, but you're just not attached to like it playing out in reality or whatnot. You know, you're not attached to like, oh, my mind thought this. My mind thought, oh, I hate this person. You're like, okay, that's cool. I'm watching that.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, I hate this person, right? Like when you act on it like that, like you're attached to the
Yeah.
thought. Where when you're watching it, you're just like, oh, that's interesting. I thought that, you know.
You allow it to flow like water, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's our 2 cents on that. Michael, thank you for submitting your question. If you have any additional questions, let us know. I don't think there was anything else we needed to touch on with that question.
No, I think we covered all of it.
Okay, cool. So then our next question is funny, 2 M names today. And I believe, again, sorry if I don't get your name correct, it's Matai. Matai, is that how you say that?
I think so.
Matai. So Matai says she won't talk to me and told me not to contact her, but she's everywhere in so many ways: numbers, dreams, synchronicities. For so long, I had a voice tell me a few months ago that we'll meet in 3.5 years, but it feels like eternity. What do I do? Thank you.
This is a difficult one because if you got something telling you to go to them, you want to act on that. But if this person has said to you, don't contact me now, it's a very difficult one to say because you want to respect their wishes and their boundary, but you also got to make sure that you're also protecting yourself. And if you feel that you need to go out, even if you just want to go to them and say, look, I understand what you're saying, I respect that, then will you get back in contact with me? Or yeah, it's a tricky one.
What did you say when we first originally talked about it?
Respect your partner's wording, which it is, but yeah.
I think what you're touching on is it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is like it's really hard to respect their wishes when you just want to be with this person or when the control is completely out of your hands, right? So again, it comes down to intention. You have to ask yourself, why do I want to reach out? If this person has explicitly told me don't contact me, right? Yeah. Why do I want to reach out? Right? Is it because you need some sort of validation from them? Is it because, you feel unfulfilled? Is it because you're scared that they'll never come back? Like you kind of have to ask yourself, why is it that I feel the need to reach out? And sometimes our ego will play with us a little bit and be like, oh, I just have so much love that I want to give them. And okay, but they have told you not to contact them, right? So you have to give that to yourself, right? And I think a lot of times when it comes to the chaser, the one really kind of, I would almost say kind of cruel and torturous lesson that the chaser has to learn is to really let go of that control.
Yeah.
To say like, okay, what do I do now? It's out of my hands. There's nothing more I can do. They're not going to respond to me probably if I do send them a message. If I send them too many messages, they might even block me. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I'm really SOL because then I really have no way of contacting them at all. So you really have to look at that and you say, okay, well, what do I do now? And you work on creating the most badass life you can for yourself. You hold space for the fact that one day they may come back to you when they're ready, when they've worked through what they want to work through. And you say, okay, I'm going to focus all of that love. This is where chasers have to really become cognizant and really become masters of their energy and attention and focus, is because they have so much love that they want to give to the runner, right? But what you have to do is don't give it to them. They're just telling you, I don't want it, right? So give it to everything else in your life. Use them as your muse. Use them as your focus of inspiration. And whenever you feel like, ooh, I really want to reach out to them, do something else in your life. This is actually one of those things where the Twin Flame Path to Awakening group is amazing for this. And so many of the people that we've worked with have said, like, thank goodness for this group, because instead of texting my twin, I actually just texted the group. And it eliminated the need to text my twin at all, because I got the clarity I needed through the group. So just putting that out there. If you're interested in learning more, we're still taking applications for April 2025. Super excited about that. Super, super excited. I'm not going to get into it, but Yes, take that energy that you have for them and the love that you have for them and give it to every other area of your life, including yourself,
Most
right?
importantly.
You need to give that to yourself. Whatever love you want to give to them, whatever, desires you have for them, whatever it is that you want them to be doing, you need to make sure you are also doing that. You want them to work on their lessons, work on your lessons. You want to give them love, give yourself love. You want to text them, send yourself a nice message or write yourself everything you love about yourself and then give that to all the other areas of your life. Get your career where you want it, get your health where you want it. Basically, give your own self a glow up. In lieu of that person not being there, right? And channel and alchemize that energy into every other direction of your life.
Well said.
Anything else you would add to that?
I think you covered that pretty well.
Yeah, I think both of these were really good questions. And both kind of tie into each other a little bit,
Yeah.
In terms of the surrender and the having to let go, right? And that's something, to access that void, you really have to surrender and let go. And to, for many of the chasers out there, in order to move on to the next, aspect of your journey, you have to learn to surrender and you have to learn to let go and you have to learn to be unconditional with yourself about the love that you're giving, right? And 3.5 years does sound like an eternity. I don't disagree with you at that at all. Like if somebody told me, if my higher self told me or something, like it's going to be 3.5 years, I think I would probably want to pull all my hair out. So I hear you completely. There is no lack of sympathy here. But I think the thing is, you got to just kind of, again, let it go and almost forget about it. I know you can't forget about it. It's your twin flame. You can't forget about it, but almost just like be like, all right, mourn the death of this may never happen, right? And just let yourself mourn that and be like, all right, this may never happen. I'm going to fully let them go. I'm going to stop trying completely and I'm going to just focus on myself and do me. And that will get you.
Well, the time will fly by then if you focus so much on yourself and not focusing on that aspect.
Yeah.
Before 3.5 years disappears in the blink of an eye and you're like, oh, wow.
Because you're fulfilled. You're doing what you want to do. You're living your life. You're loving yourself. You're, that's the ultimate goal, is to love yourself so much that has no choice but to be reflected in your physical reality. And that's how union comes to be. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and put it down below or fill out the form if you want to have it actually be reiterated to you here on YouTube. We really, really appreciate your guys' love and support. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.